Okay, this morning what I decided to do, I left this wire here for our park lights on the front, and I didn't add park lights on the front. I just wasn't thinking about it, I guess, and I didn't feel like I needed them, or I don't really know what the excuse was. But I decided to go ahead and put a set on them. I'm going to put them, I got like 1 inch by 3.5 inch, I think. I'm going to put them right here behind the bars, kind of tucked in, so you really won't see them, and they'll be protected. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to run the wiring. The lights won't be here till this afternoon, but I decided to go ahead and run park lights. So I haven't finished the buggy, but now I'm adding more projects to it. But anyway, I did that, and also had a problem with my dome light. It quit working or started working poorly. That's the new one. These are rated very highly on Amazon, but what happened was the switch, it would stay on, and when you hit the switch, it would jump from this light to this light. They're both supposed to come on with one push. They're both supposed to come on, then go off, but it was just jumping back and forth between lights. One would always be on. And after I dug deeper into the reviews, they don't have very many bad reviews, but the ones they do, that is the problem, is the switching malfunctioning with the lights. So I don't think it's a big issue. Like I say, it was out of a bunch of reviews, it was only 3 or 4 of them that had that issue. So hopefully that's fixed now. So it was a bummer that this only lasted about 3 days. Well, it was on it. I mean, I turned it on maybe 4 or 5 times before it started malfunctioning. So that's a bummer. But anyway, we got a new one. How you doing? Okay, well, you lay down and take a nap then. Lay down and take a nap. You're sharp now, huh? Okay. Okay, do my marker lights. I picked these really cheap truck lights. They're just side lights, and sometimes you can get away with cheap stuff and it looks good. So I just took these, which you can get a dime a dozen. These were actually on sale on Amazon, 2 for $7. But normally they were $10. I just made a simple aluminum bracket. I ran it through the brake just to give it a little strength. But I'll drill this out, run that grommet through it, run the lights, and what I end up with is this. So it's mounted. I just pop riveted that bracket, the black bracket. The light snaps into that. So I just pop riveted that into that. And the way it works over here, my front bolt, I've got 4 of them that go across here. I'm using the 2 outer bolts. I have a temporary bolt in it right now because I don't have the right length for that. So I'm utilizing this hole since it was already there. I didn't want a lot of wires up here since I'm around the winch, so I'm going to ground it through that. And I've got the power wire coming around both sides of the winch up the side. So it's out of it. But the way this is going to work, I put an extra nut on the back of that. You can see, kind of for a spacer, just to space this light out. And then that's just going to go over that, onto that, and then it fits right into that little spot. And the way it's curved on the side right there kind of matches the curve of the roll bar. So even though it's a cheap light, I think it's going to look really good. So anyway, let me get them mounted up, and we'll see what they look like and see if they work. Perfect. Okay, today I'm starting to put the looms on all the wiring, so I'm trying to do it neat as possible. Trying to make it look kind of factory. I just don't want to mess. I want it nice and neat. And one thing I did on the other side, where it's the exhaust, I've got this heat wrap. It's fiberglass lined with foil when it sticks. So over here on the loom that runs across the exhaust, I've also loomed it and wrapped it with this heat wrap. And then I thought, well, what happens if the zip ties would melt? Which I don't think they will, but just in case, I've also loosely, on all the connections here, I've put stainless steel wires around them. It's loose, it's not tight, so it's not going to cut into them. This is kind of a safety in case the zip tie would burn. So anyway, I'm getting that done. That looks good. So I got a little bit left. I may wrap this piece, or I may put it over here. I haven't decided, so I'll decide here shortly. But now I'm going to run the loom for the engine wires. Do that next. I'm just working my way forward as I go, so that's the plan. Okay, I got most of the loom and the wiring done in the back. One of the last things I had to do was tighten up these lights, which turned out to be a pain in the ass. I knew when I made these it was going to be kind of difficult, and once the wires were up there, it made it even harder. I had to sacrifice a wrench. I had to take a 3/4 inch wrench, cut it, and I had to grind the sides down a little bit, make it smooth, cut it down, and then I was able to stick that up and use this bolt as leverage to twist. So little by little I could twist it inside there. So it wasn't too bad once I made this, but it was impossible until I made this. So anyway, the lights are nice and tight now, so I can mark that off the list. We're getting close. I would order some new wire loom, a different size for this section from here to the tunnel. I've got all the rear done and I've got the very front done, so we're making good progress. Okay, next thing I'm doing, I got some foam tape. It's 1/16 of an inch by 1/2 inch. I'm laying it in the tracks along here for where the wiring troughs go. So I've got it on the edges of the top and on the bottom, all around. Hopefully to keep the vibrations down, to keep it from making noise, and it'll keep some of the water out in case it tries to drip under. But I'm gonna go ahead and put those on now and keep moving forward. Okay, to get this fan trap bolt in, it was missing, it wasn't in there. I had to cut a hole in a piece of paper and kind of use the paper to kind of balance it to get the thread started, because there's hardly any space there since it's an Allen head bolt. If it was a regular bolt, it would have been a little easier. But then I also had to take my Allen wrench and cut it down and make another special tool, try to get that bolt in. But it's in there decent now, so I think I can pull the paper out, hopefully. All right, now I can just hopefully tighten it up. Okay, I got it tightened up, so that should be good. I got that tight. That was missing. I got that tight. When I started this, I had some vibration. I centered the coil. It was way out, so it was more of it was hanging out on this side, so it kind of made it off center, so I slid the coil over. The coil's in a weird place because I want to have dual carbs, and with dual carbs, it would have been perfect, but since I didn't use the dual carbs, it kind of ended up in a weird place. I'm just going to leave it. If it becomes a problem, I'll move it into more of the traditional area, but I think it's okay there. And I had to tighten up my strap for the alternator. It wasn't quite tight, so that's much tighter now. So hopefully that was some of the vibrations. So I'll just keep an eye on it when we get it started again. Okay, there's the wires in the loom coming out of the fuse box. Then they go up front, everything's tied down, everything's secure. Going along the channel there, everything's zip tied up and secure. Get everything down. It basically took all day yesterday, so just to work all the wires. They go across and up there. In the back, the engine wires run across the back of it there. There's the engine wires there. Of course, the heat wrap around the exhaust section. Got the wire going down to the starter, going through. I've got it clipped. Everything's nice and tight, so it's not going to move. I've got a bunch of wires that come here. My whip and chase light all plug in here, so there's extra wires besides the loom that I had to bundle up, plus the gas taker sender unit. So these are all kind of wrapped up kind of neatly, but they're behind the seat, so you won't see them. I had to adjust. These wires got a little tight once they went in the loom. They didn't have as much flex on them. So this was supposed to go up to here and then up, but I didn't want to it was putting too much pressure on the wire, so I decided just to come straight up with it. But it's got these clips on it here, and there's one there. So it's nice and tight, and there's a clip on the bottom too. So it's nice and secure. It's not going anywhere. Nothing's going to pull on it or go anywhere. So it's all good. There it goes across to the reverse light. So now that that's done, it was important for me when I was working on that. Every time when I worked the front, when I put the loom around the first main set of wires up there, I would check the lights, make sure everything was working. Each section, one by one, as I do that, it was important to check the lights. That way, if something wasn't working, I would know it was because of the section I was just on. So, like I say, section I first started back there, would check everything. Went here and checked everything, did all that, checked everything. So it's important to do that when you're doing it. Now, I've got to move to my dash pod. That's the first thing I'm gonna do this morning. Everything's working, so now I've got to stuff all these wires into this box. And hopefully everything still works. So that's this morning's goal. I've got to pull the lower gauges out and put shrink wrap on the connections because that was temporary, but they're all working, so that's good. One thing I'm going to do on all the screws that go in, since there's so many wires, I'm going to grind the screws. I don't have one, but the tip of the screws I'm going to grind a little flat and make it take the point off of it just in case one of the wires would rub inside there. I think it's maybe a smart thing to do. So anyway, let's get working on stuffing all these wires into the pod. Okay, as you can see, it's in there, but it's a very tight fit. It's not perfect. You can't really tell probably on camera, but the biggest problem I had was going to be the switch for the lights because it's big. And when I was mocking it up, I was going to use a smaller switch, but I thought it was going to be a problem to wire up. But now that I know more about wiring, I probably could have used this switch, so that would have given me more space that it needed in there. But it's in there. Like I say, it bulges out just slightly here because that is tight, and that's where on the back side, that's where all the wires come through the loom there. So anyway, but it's all in there. I think it's okay. I'm getting ready to power up for the first time, so if everything works, it's going to be great. If everything blows fuses and goes crazy, well, you'll get to see it along with me. So first we're going to hit power here. That should give us headlights. That's park lights. I can see that they're on. So that works. The second pull should be the headlights. And there's the headlights low and high. So those are working. Now we turn the key on, make sure everything's off. All the rest of the lights should come on. These lights should come on. I'll leave, I can't tell. I don't know if my dash lights are on. Let's turn everything on. Okay, those I still have to pull out, but they're working. Those lights are still working. That's working. The chase is working. I can see it going. The whip is working, so that light's working. Fog lights are working. Roof lights are working. Turn signal's working. Turn signal's working. Turn signal's working. Okay. I think we're okay. The only thing I didn't try was try the horn. Horn works. So the only thing I'm not going to try, I haven't tried the engine yet, but hopefully that's okay. So it looks like we have about 90% success. Like I say, this plate, this one didn't want to go fully in. Turn everything off. But it's in there. So I'm not going to worry about it too much. I can live with it. Which is a little better, but again, I would definitely make these pods an inch thicker if I ever had to do it again. If I build another set like this, definitely an extra inch would help. I know I'm not the only one working on gauges right now. I know Damien at the Binder Builder's working. I know you have those gauges off to the side and you have some space that you need for some lights or different things. I do have, this is my horn button. I have 2 extra buttons like that, momentary switches. If you want one of these or both of these, hit me up and I'll mail them to you, because when I bought these, they came in 2 packs, and originally I was going to have red, but I switched to blue. So if you want one of these, need a space, just hit me up and I'll send them to you. So anyway, I'm going to button up this lower pod down. I'll pull it off. I need a shrink wrap and get that back on there, but it looks like we have success with all the wiring and the gauges. Good enough. That was a big moment of stress for me getting that all in there, so I'm glad that's over with. The rest of the stuff I feel good about. I've got, next thing I'll do before I move to the gauge pod, I got 2 little covers that go over these lights. I'll do that next so we can see what those look like. Here's the brand of little indicator lights that I used. They make, you can see they make a bunch of different products. I got red lights. They come in red, green, yellow, blue, and white are clear. And you get these covers that come with them that you can put anything you want on them, basically. I mean, they give you a little bit of everything. And you get these little clear sheets. So you get a bunch of sheets, and you can see they have all the little things. They have little round clear buttons like this. This is if you want to keep it red, you can just stick that on it. But you can see my two gauges are oil and battery. But those two were kind of boring, so I decided not to use those two, even though that's what they were. So again, they come with a bunch. So what I decided to go with, I thought would be more interesting than the battery, is for the oil, I'll put the skull and crossbone, because if your oil quits working, your motor will die. And I did a lightning bolt for electric. So that's what I went with. It was a little fun too. So again, those are pretty cool little lights. So anyway, now I'll move on to the lower gauges. I know what you're thinking. Are we done yet? No, we're not done, but we are getting real close. Doing the last little push. Getting them, working on the shocks now. I'm putting the little stops in them, tightening them down. Got everything going there. Got the seat belts in. My little bag, stereo, cup holder. My little bags on each side. Everything on the back's done. I'm tightening down the clamps here, and I'm putting the little secondary clamps. I'm tightening those down. I'm putting anti-seize on those and getting those tight. To get the spacing between this and where the sleeve comes up, I've got a 1-inch spacer that I made that can slide up in there. That way I get them all the same. But we're almost done. You got fire extinguishers in there now. One thing I am going to have to change. Actually, I got 1/4-inch fuel lines. I need 3/16. No matter how much I tighten the clamps down, they're still loose. So I'm going to have to adjust that, which is no big deal. It's just changing the hose on that. But other than that, we're almost there. Of course, I haven't taken it for a test drive yet. That's next. That'll probably be tomorrow or the day after tomorrow. So let me keep working on the list and get everything marked off, and then we'll get a video of it running outside. Okay, here's where I'm going to end this video. This is my new fuel line and the new fuel filter things. I am going to have to change the fuel lines tonight because, like I said, these are 1/4-inch, and these for the fuel pump here on the Volkswagen, you're supposed to have 5mm, which is what they sell. And since these are 1/4-inch, it was too big. I didn't even think about it when I did it. So I got 3/16, which is really like 4.8. So my suggestion would be, if you have a Volkswagen, you're running fuel line, just go ahead and order that from somewhere like J-Bugs or somewhere and get the actual size. But I want to get this on the road this week, so I'm going to go ahead and go with the 3/16 that I bought. I'm going to have to change this filter for now too, because it's got big ends. I already had to stretch that over that. I think those are 3/8 inch ends, so I've already had that problem anyway. So I'll pull that off, and basically from the tank all the way to the fuel line, I'll replace everything. So I'll do that tonight, and then tomorrow I'll do a little bit more work, and Wednesday I'll take it for a test drive. So we're almost there. My to-do list is almost completely marked off, so we're getting there. So I'll probably upload the next video in about 3 days, so you won't have to wait as long for the next one. So anyway, thanks for watching, and then you'll see me on the next video taking it for a ride.